All right, welcome back to PB Jax, Pioneers, Builders, City of Jacksonville. Today we have a special episode and the fact that we get to talk to the third of three candidates that are running for the at-large Group 1 seat at City Council. I want to walk through a couple of things before we get started. The special election is going to be on Tuesday, August 18th. The reason that this election is being held is because Terrence Freeman, who's a Republican, had to resign his at-large Group 1 seat so that he could run for Florida District House 12. In this field, we have Deborah Wesley, who we're going to be interviewing today, Addison Patrick, a Libertarian, and Monet Holder, a Democrat, running for this seat. If somebody gets 50% of the vote on August 18th, we have a winner. However, if nobody achieves 50% of the vote, the top two candidates will go to a runoff election on November 3rd, in which whoever wins that election will be elected. This person will have to defend their seat in March, which is crazy, but it's true. And lastly, it should be important that I note that whoever gets elected will get to vote on the budget that is currently going through City Council as we speak. As always, I'm your host, Randall Thomas. If this is your first time, welcome. If you're coming back to us, welcome back. We have a great candidate today, and that is the Republican candidate for the at-large Group 1 seat of City Council, and that's Deborah Wesley. And Deborah, thank you for coming on PB and Jax.
Thank you for having me, Randall.
You're so welcome. You're so welcome. I want to get to know you a little bit. We're going to talk about your background. We're going to talk about everything that you've done here in Jacksonville, and everything's kind of led you up to this point where you're going to run for City Council, what you'd like to see in Jacksonville moving forward, and let's kind of take it from there. We'll do a little rapid fire at the end and call it a day. All right. Number one, two questions that are pretty easy. Who is Deborah Wesley, the candidate?
Deborah Wesley, the candidate, is a lifelong resident of Jacksonville, Florida, who just served 35 years with the Jacksonville Sheriff's Office. And I have served decades in executive management leadership positions within the Sheriff's Office and have gained extensive experience in organizing large teams, managing and overseeing multi-million-dollar contracts and budgets within the agency, working with others, and just serving the citizens of this city for 35 years. And now being called to serve in a different and greater capacity.
Okay. That's pretty good for a candidate intro. How about the person? Who's Deborah Wesley, the person?
Deborah Wesley, the person, is, again, a lifelong resident of Jacksonville. I am the youngest of 10. I grew up on a farm out in Mandarin. My parents came here from Mississippi back in the 1950s and started a family. I'm the youngest of 10. Life as a child was simple but pleasant.
Yeah.
So I have very strong family values. As I said, I grew up on the farm in Mandarin, so I attended local public schools out in that area. But life changed when I reached high school. My mom and dad over the years had divorced. So the summer that I was going into high school, my mom moved from Mandarin area over to the north side. And I moved with my mom. So I ended up graduating high school from Ribault Senior High School in 1989. I am a mother, proud mother of 3, actually a daughter and 2 bonus sons to be exact. And so I am just a family person. I love people. I love helping. I love giving. And I do everything with my whole heart.
All right.
Yes.
Well, thank you for that. I want to kind of walk through the early stages because there was a point in which you said that you know the struggles local families face because you live them.
Yes.
And what I'd like to do is expand on that a little bit. When you were talking about that, what were you referencing?
Sure. So I spent decades serving families in one of the most vulnerable areas in our city through youth sports and community outreach at the Forestview Athletic Association. And during that time frame, what I encountered, what I saw over the years was a lot of single parents and grandmothers with raising their grandchildren and trying to keep the kids, out of the streets and out of gangs and all of those things. But with playing youth sports, there also comes financial responsibility that a lot of parents, to be frank, just couldn't afford to pay. I understand that. I've had my own financial struggles in my life. I know what it's like to not have enough money to pay a bill in its entirety, to pay just enough to keep the light bill on or just enough to keep the phone bill on, and having to wait for payday to have money to put gas in my car. I know that struggle. And so when I say I know the struggles, I've been there. I lived it. Right now, we're living in a time where everything is really high. And to be honest, there are some people that are still living that struggle right now as we speak. And so when I say that I understand it because I have lived it.
You said it was on your heart to serve city council. You want
Yes.
to continue to serve. Is that what led you to serve, or was there a decision, or was there something that took place, or was there a value that really stood out to you that made you feel so strong in your convictions to run for this seat that you had no choice but to put your hat in the ring?
So I'm glad you asked that question. Honestly, this isn't something that I would have ever dreamed that I would be doing. I'm not a politician. I don't see myself as a politician. So being one is not something that I ever would have thought I would be doing. But this idea about running for city council, it was what I call a crazy thought in my head that I kept dismissing, but that crazy thought wouldn't go away. And I've come to discover that oftentimes when that happens, it's God trying to tell you something. And so because that crazy thought wouldn't go away, and then I feel that the Lord was sending people across my path to make it known that it was Him, I began to pray about it. And as I began to pray, it just began to resonate within me. And after a while, it became perfectly clear to me that this was something that God was calling me to do. I didn't respond to it initially, I would say out of fear. Um,
Okay.
because again, I'm not a politician, and stepping out into this political arena is a big thing. You're not just doing this for you, you're doing this to serve a whole city of people.
Yep.
And it's not something that I take lightly. And so I just prayed more and more and more, and the Lord just began to deal with me more. And He helped me understand that He was calling me to do this and that there is a divine purpose. And so out of obedience to what I know God was speaking to me,
Yep.
I said, okay, God, I'll do this. And here I am.
Is there a person that you ran this by that said, I think that this is a good idea, that nudged you into filing and running? I understand that God put this on your heart, but did you talk to the sheriff or talk to somebody else that was on council and say, like, this has been on my heart, what should I do? And they said, I think you should.
No one pushed me. No one selected me. No one pushed me. No one encouraged me. That was a conversation between me and the Lord.
Yep.
When I did speak to anyone about it, the decision was already made that this is what I'm going to do and this is what God is calling me to do. And it went from there.
Okay. When did you file?
I filed in July of 2025.
Okay. That's a
For
little
a
over a
year
year
ago.
ago. So you've
Yes.
known for a bit.
Yes.
All right. Angela,
So just another thought about that. I
yeah.
apologize. When I was going back and forth in prayer about
Mm.
doing this, I was like, Lord, I need you to make this perfectly clear to me that this is what you want me to do. And so I ended up going through LifeWork leadership in 2024. And the very first day of class at LifeWorks leadership, there was some conversation about city council. And I thought, this is God talking to me. There's the
Yeah.
confirmation that I needed. So
I'm very familiar with life work leadership. I know quite a few people that have graduated from that program, and everything I've heard about it has been spectacular.
Yes.
Um, you filed in July of 25. When you filed, was that under the assumption that you would be running in March of 27?
Yes.
Okay. So when did we find out that this seat was being vacated and that we were going to be going into a special election?
I think Terrence Freeman submitted his letter in June, I think it was.
Okay.
May
So
or
last
June.
month. Yeah.
Yes.
And so how did that change your campaign strategy? Thinking, okay, I have until March, and now Terrence submits his resignation, and all of a sudden you're in hyper warp speed.
That's it.
Yeah.
That's how it changed. Just that.
You have a unique perspective here. You've been sitting in a seat for 35 years where you get to see Jacksonville from a different lens. As a citizen, we go to work and we go out and we have fun and we go home or we go to a Jags game, and it's the idea of public safety, the idea of infrastructure, the idea of where money goes, the idea of all of this stuff really just doesn't come across our minds very often because we have our own jobs, we have our own life, we're doing our own thing. But you've been with the sheriff's office for 35 years.
Yes.
How do you feel in terms of unique perspective that it's given you, that you've been able to see the city from the inside out instead of the outside in?
Well, just for clarity, my service with the sheriff's office was in the Department of Corrections. And so from that perspective, I definitely get to see things through a different set of lens than anyone else, unless you work in that particular field. But working with the sheriff's office, it gives you a greater perspective on what safety looks like and how things should be prioritized when it comes to safety and what's needed in the community. Things that I would say the average person probably just doesn't think about. For example, when I think about crime and keeping citizens safe, it can be the simple thing such as you have a bus stop and someone's waiting to catch the bus at night, but the light on the pole is not working. That is a public safety issue. That light needs to be on because now we put this citizen in a vulnerable position because we have lights that are not working and they're trying to catch the bus and it's after dark. Things happen when it's dark.
Yep.
So little things like that, some people just don't pay close attention to. You tend to be aware. Another example would be I was driving one day. I was in one particular area of town that have been growing over the years. New subdivisions. And, of course, when you have new subdivisions going up, a lot of homes, families have children, and then businesses down the road, like there's a Publix and there's a restaurant right down the street from the subdivisions, the new homes. And I'm driving along and I'm seeing teenagers walking, and they're walking on the road. And I'm thinking, wow, they're in the street. And I look over and realize there are no sidewalks.
Oh, wow.
So we have new homes, new subdivisions, no sidewalks. That's infrastructure. So just from, my experience and looking at safety, all of these things kind of tie in together.
Yeah.
So.
Okay. Why did you choose law enforcement? Let me revert. You graduated, obviously when you were 18, we'll say 18. How long between then and then the time you served, how long did it take you to join JSO?
1 year.
1 year. Okay. What led you to do that?
Well, at the time, I knew I wasn't going to college right away. But I knew also that I wanted a job that was going to pay good money, or decent money, I should say. It was decent at that time. That also provided benefits. And actually, at that time, I wanted to be a police officer. And so when I went to City Hall to apply for the job, the posting said you had to be 21 by January of the upcoming year. I was only 19 at the time and not old enough. And they had corrections officer posted right next to it. The benefits were the same. pay wasn't quite the same, but the benefits were. And I thought, I'll just do this. And then when I turn 21, I'll do what I need to do and cross over and go to the streets.
Mm.
And so that's how I ended up in corrections,
Okay.
sheriff's office.
Being a part of JSO,
Mm-hmm.
regardless of the division, doesn't matter. Do you think that being a part of the sheriff's office made you love Jacksonville more than if you had taken a corporate job or any other career path for that matter?
I would say yes. Because in that field, we're dealing with people from all parts of the city all day, every day. And in my experience, what I have done over the years is I've never saw the inmates as just an inmate. That person is somebody's family, that person is somebody's loved one, and each person comes with their own issues. And as an officer inside the jail, our main job is to care, custody, and control of the inmates. And sometimes that leads into listening to what issues they have. You may have an inmate that's, acting out, having behavioral problems. But when you take the time to sit down and talk to them, say, hey, what is going on with you? Then they tend to open up. And then you get a better understanding. Okay, this person isn't just a mean person, but this person has a lot of serious issues going on in their lives. Um, Absolutely.
Yeah.
And same thing with, officers and that I've worked with over the years. People think that because we put on this uniform, that we got it all together. But, a lot of us have mastered putting on the happy face, but sometimes there's a lot of things going on behind that
Yeah.
happy face.
Yeah. You're still people.
Exactly.
Um, if you don't mind sharing, what's the hardest thing you had to do on the job? Is there a person? Is there a case? Is there a call? Is there anything that really stands out to you about that really just has stuck with you?
I think the hardest thing would be having to get past the death of a coworker
Mm.
and being there for that person's family, and being there for the officers and the supervisors that work with that person every day. Because, when you're working on a job and you're with someone all the time, every single day, you become a family. And when you lose one of those individuals, that's hard. It's
Yeah.
really hard.
I can attest to everything you're talking about. I was in the service. That's the whole reason I came to Jacksonville. I was stationed here. And when you work with somebody every day, when you deploy with somebody, when you go on missions together, when you cultivate ideas together, when you achieve goals together,
Mhm.
some people think that the word family is overused and overrated, but I can tell you that it is not.
Yes.
If you are in uniform, it is a brotherhood, sisterhood, family, 100%. So to know what it was like to go through the death of somebody that I worked with in the Navy,
Mhm.
I have a very understanding perspective of everything you're talking about. So if a civilian looks at it a little differently, I can at least attest to the fact that what you're saying is completely accurate.
Yes.
Because you were with the sheriff's office for so long, it must have meant something to you to get the endorsement of the sheriff. And he's an elected official. People elect him. So because he's elected and not um, appointed, what did it mean to get the endorsement from him? Not only because you worked under him, but the fact that the people voted for him and he's telling the people to vote for you.
It means the world to me. Um, I think the most important thing for people to understand about that endorsement is that, as you just said, this is the sheriff. He is an elected official. He is not going to put his name and reputation on the line for just anybody. Some people think that because he's a sheriff and I worked in the agency with the uniform, oh, well, that's to be expected. No, it's not to be expected. I can guarantee you that there are a lot of people who would have loved to have his endorsement, and his answer would be no. I I think it is an absolute honor to have his endorsement, but his endorsement came from observing me, watching me, knowing me over the years. I have a proven record of getting things done. I have a proven record of building relationships, great relationships. I've been very trustworthy, and I have proven that I have great leadership abilities. If it weren't for those things, he would not have endorsed me. And so I think that, the sheriff made a statement, his own statement about his reasons for endorsing me. And I think that's worth paying attention to, in his words.
One of the things that some people may bring up in this election is you're a public safety savant, right? You were with JSO, you're going to run on that 35 years. You would certainly be the choice on that side, but you've never held elected office before.
No.
And you haven't sat on a city board before. So outside of doing police work, how can people feel confident that you have the ability to do legislation work as well and work with others, both on your side of the aisle and on the other side?
So I think it's important to understand that this is service, first of all. Secondly, my record shows that I have the ability to learn anything that's placed before me. So if there's something that I don't know, I can learn it. Secondly, leadership and service, it has everything to do with relationships. When you have the ability to create positive relationships, even when you don't see eye to eye with the person across the table, but you're able to focus on what the intended goal is and what the mission is, and put everything else aside, and let's focus on what the mission is and get that mission accomplished. That's a leader. That is someone who's ready to step in office or any other position. Any challenge that is placed before me, I accept. And I have done that. And I have been able to overcome a number of challenges over the years. And I have proven that I have the ability to get the job done regardless to what's been placed before me. And I've had to make some tough decisions and take care of some business over the years. So I have a proven track record.
And I assume you've retired from JSO.
Yes.
When was that?
So my last working day was in December, but my official retirement date was January 2nd.
Okay. You had some terminal leave or something built up, like you took some PTO at the end?
No, I stayed until the end, only a few hours.
Okay.
Yeah.
And you filed in July of 25. And I assume when you're saying that you hung it up in January 2nd, this was 2026.
Correct.
So you knew before you retired that this was on your heart. This is what you wanted to do?
Yes. Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
What have the last 6 months been like?
Ooh, the last 6 months. Well, being that I filed last year in July, the race has been going like a marathon. Yeah. I've been spending time having meetings, talking to people, introducing myself, gaining support, fundraising and doing things of that nature. But now over these last few months, things are starting to pick up because, obviously we're getting close to an actual election day.
Yeah. In the last 6 months, since you've been out there speaking to people, having conversations, obviously with the idea of helping people understand who you are so that they can vote for you. When you go talk to these people, what concerns are you addressing? I'm sure every group of people has something different. There's the small business owners, there's the infrastructure folks, there's the public safety folks, there's the economy folks. So when you go out and you're talking to these people, do you have a blanket message that you're trying to explain, like, this is who I am and this is what I'm going to bring to council? Or are you addressing some of these issues head on?
Well, so of course, the first part of the conversation is an introduction of myself. Just sharing who I am, where I'm from, what I've done, what my beliefs are. But service isn't just about me telling you who I am. It's also hearing what your concerns are. I'm here to serve everyone in this city. So therefore, every person that I've spoken to, I also, in that conversation want to know, well, what concerns do you have? And that's pretty much, of course, I share what my priorities are and, those things that really matter to most of us, actually. And that's what I found is that regardless of who I've been speaking to, most of us want the same
Mm.
thing.
Yeah, I'm going to bring that up because this isn't on my list of questions, but I am very firm on this. If you spend your time online, you will find reasons to hate people.
Correct.
If you go sit next to somebody at a restaurant and shake their hand and talk to them, it will never be like that. It just won't. There's just certain things I won't bring up in casual conversation if I meet somebody in public. Who who are you? Who's your family? What's important to you? All these things. So how important is it, especially being let's say a Republican, where you're meeting people that aren't all Republicans? As a matter of fact, if you look at the voting record in Jacksonville, we have more registered Democrats than Republicans.
Mm-hmm.
So how do you reach across to these people and shake their hands and then find a common ground?
I have been serving in this community for decades. And that means my service have not just been for Republicans, but it has also been for Democrats as well. A lot of the families that I've served were Democrats. I am the director of the women's ministry at my church. I fellowship with a lot of different ministries, and a lot of those people in my church and other churches as well are Democrats. People support Deborah Wesley because they know Deborah Wesley. Aside from a party, they know me as a person and they know my heart.
Yeah.
So,
It's been like, you being in corrections for all intents and purposes. We'll just say you've been isolated because you've been working in the jail and, working with inmates and you've been doing your job. And now it's very public who you are. Everybody's voting for you or not voting for you. They see your name. People are making phone calls on your behalf. Your face is everywhere. How has that been? Like, has that been a huge adjustment for you, or are you just welcoming it?
it's just something that's a part of this process.
Yeah.
I don't really get so much consumed with it. Um, I'm here to do what's necessary to get elected on August the 18th. So I'm not moved or distracted by the lights, camera, action. I'm on TV, my picture's here, my picture's there. I'm not really moved by it. And then as far as my career and having worked in an environment with inmates over the years, um, I've always treated everyone that I dealt with dignity and respect. So I have no concerns about, anyone that I may have encountered on the job having an issue with who I am because I've always treated people with dignity and respect.
How are you staying grounded in all of this?
My faith is the core of who I am and everything that I do. My faith in God, my prayer life is vitally important, and that's what keeps me going,
All right.
as it always has.
All right. I'm going to put you on the spot a little bit here.
Sure.
Obviously, you were endorsed by Sheriff Waters. You were endorsed by the vast majority of the council.
Yes.
Let's say that there's a topic in which the council and the sheriff disagree on. Whose side are you on?
On the side of what I think is right.
Okay. And you're going to make somebody upset.
And that's okay.
All right. You got a good
That's okay.
relationship
I'm not
with both?
beholden to anyone.
Okay.
I don't owe anybody anything. No one has said, "Oh, if you do this, if I endorse you, then I expect you to do that." That has not happened. People who support me, they just want me to do what's right, and they know that I'm going to do what's right.
Yeah.
So.
Both of your opponents have mentioned that they're running on this idea that they're not establishment candidates, that they don't have these inner city relationships, that nobody's lining their pockets, and that they are separated from the nucleus that is the political spectrum.
Mm-hmm.
And you're coming from JSO, which is where 50% of the budget is allocated. You have a personal relationship with the sheriff. You have a great relationship with a vast majority of the city council. So if you were to address them saying that they're not the establishment candidates, and it seems like they're implying that you are, what would you say to people to let them know that that's not the case?
I am not the establishment candidate, whatever that means. I am just as new to this political arena as they are, I would assume. I've never served in any political office on any boards. I haven't been appointed to anything in anywhere in City Hall or anything like that. I'm new to this. Um, but I think the important thing that we must understand and recognize is why we're doing this. My why may be different from the next person's why. And my why ultimately is because after much prayer and conversations with my Lord and Savior, this is why I'm here in obedience to Him. And I know that God rewards obedience. When you do what He says to do and you make that ultimate sacrifice, He makes sure that He prepares and makes sure that He provides everything that you need along the path because He called you to do it. And so I offer no apologies for that. I'm here because this is what the Lord called me to do.
Okay. Have you met the mayor
I have met her.
since filing?
No. I mean, I've seen her around, but
Right. Do you have a relationship with the mayor at all? Like, have you had a conversation about?
no, we haven't had a conversation. But I have seen her in passing. We say hello, we shake hands, how you doing? Good to
Yep.
see you, that type of thing.
If you're elected, you're probably going to have a conversation with her. So, knowing her policies and knowing yours, I mean, I think there's a little bit of a confliction. So, how would you like to work alongside the mayor to achieve a better Jacksonville?
I think that we want the same thing. Sometimes we have different thoughts and ideas of how to accomplish that, whatever that something is. And again, everything is about relationships and everything is about, for me, it's about serving the citizens of this city. It is not my goal to butt heads and be confrontational with the mayor. I respect the mayor, whoever the next mayor may be. I respect the mayor in their position and their role in the office that they serve. That person's there to serve the citizens of Duval County. If I'm elected, I'm there to serve the citizens of Duval County.
Okay, wonderful. You ready to talk budget?
Sure.
Okay. Because if you win on August 18th, if you get over 50% of the vote, you will be immediately planted into this budget discussion. So I do want to talk about a couple of things and see where we stand fiscally. The mayor just proposed her budget is $2.026 billion, which is a 1.1% increase. For me personally, I feel like that's a fair increase. She held the millage rate flat, and she's embedded a $586 million capital plan. I know that council Republicans want to cut the millage rate. Where do you stand on that?
I think that we have to consider if we cut the millage rate, what services are going to be affected. So for me, public safety is priority number one. Infrastructure, all of the core services, essential services. In my 35 years of service with the Jacksonville Sheriff's Office, there was a time when there were some issues with the budget. And the unthinkable happened. Police officers got laid off. I'll never forget that. So there is a piece of me in the back of my mind and in my heart that has some concerns that when we start cutting the part of the budget that covers those things, I have to take a very, very, very close look at that. While I do support tax cuts, we have to be responsible as well.
Okay. Have you had a chance to review any part of the mayor's budget before today?
I have looked at it.
Okay.
I saw some things.
If there's anything in there at all that you would cut, is there anything that comes to mind? Is there anything you would add?
There's nothing nothing that I could think I would add. I think her budget was reasonable. When you consider the direction that our city's going in and the growth that's taken place. and the small increase
Mhm.
that was in that, and in the when you consider the cost of things. So
I'm actually in agreement with you. I spoke to a member of city council and who's a Republican, and he said that it shows a healthy, thriving city when the budget increases year over year. You just have to be once you said you just have to be responsible about it. So out of the 2.026 billion, half of that goes to JSO and JFRD. 675 million of it is JSO.
mhm.
So about a third of the budget. Do you think that that's a proper allocation?
Yes, I think when we consider what those funds are for, the biggest and first thing to understand about the budget with the sheriff's office is 80% of that goes to salaries and benefits. When you have people working, you have to pay them, and they have benefits that come along with the job. There are pay raises, you know, those things have to be covered. And I will say also that in my years, as I've said, I have experience with budgetary experience in managing contracts. There is very little or none, like there's no discretionary money left. Like every penny that's being spent is being spent on things that are essential, that's absolutely needed.
Okay.
So,
Your record on public safety and the discussion around infrastructure. I did a little bit of research, and it just says that Jacksonville is consistently among the worst cities as it pertains to pedestrian deaths. People get hit by cars that are walking a lot in this town. Would you allocate that? Is that a spending issue? Is that an infrastructure issue? Like, why are we so bad, and how can we fix it?
well, I think that the example that I spoke about earlier,
Mhm.
I'm seeing kids
No
walking on the
sidewalk.
road and there
Yeah.
are no sidewalks. Why is this happening? Is it the pedestrians not crossing the street where they need to be crossing the street? Is it drivers that's speeding? So I think with that, you have to look at the situation by what actually caused whatever happened to happen.
Mm.
Um, but when it comes to infrastructure, when it comes to, sidewalks and traffic lights and things like that, to me, that those things are public safety issues. And I think those are things that we shouldn't be ignoring.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'll be interested to see if roundabouts are a solution or if there's an area of town we should be focusing on more than others. We're 900 square miles. You can't there's just not enough money to spend on infrastructure to fix everything, but there's got to be a way that we can use the data to understand where the bulk of these deaths are coming from and protect our citizens
I
better.
agree.
Okay.
Yes,
Um, so another hot button issue, probably the hottest button issue is the Navi system. You familiar?
I am.
Um, Without me like diving into too much, what I would just your overall stance on Navi.
I think that everything is about timing. I think that maybe in the future, there may be a time and a place for it. But right now, I don't think it's worth, well, as they say, the juice is worth the squeeze.
Yep.
Um, my office was downtown before I retired, and I spent many days, well, not many, many days, but there were some days that during break time, I had an opportunity to look out of a window and I see it, but I never see any passengers.
Mm.
So,
Do you
yeah,
do you believe that we're just a city that's not ready for innovation?
I think we're getting there.
Okay.
I think we're getting there. But again, I think timing.
So right idea, wrong time.
Yeah.
So if this was presented in front of you in a budget hearing, you would vote this down.
Right now,
Yeah.
yes.
Okay. Do you have any thoughts on there was a report that came out the other day, the Jack's Daily Record came out and showed that JTA I think they have $15.5 million in defunct invoices.
Mm.
And of course the CEO just decided to leave and he's going to Dallas.
Mhm.
That he moved up his timeline, so he's going to leave in October. City council needs to agree on either appointing an interim or getting a brand new CEO in there, you're going to be a part of that. So when you get in August, you're going to have to ramp up really quick to that decision.
Yeah.
What do? Do you just you lean on others' advice, or like how do you go about helping get the right person in the door for something that's so significant?
Homework, research, and homework, and being willing to put the time in. If that means I have to stay up late at night to review, read resumes, check backgrounds, whatever's necessary, because I want to be comfortable with any decision that I make and be able to go to bed and rest well at night, not worrying about, oh, did I do the right thing or not?
Okay.
So,
Um, Another big item is the stadium deal. So the stadium in totality is a $1.5 billion project. City is on the hook for half of that, so 775 million. 220 million of that is in coming out of this year's budget. The deal is signed. We can't unravel it. But what are your thoughts on the deal? Was it a good deal for Jacksonville, or would you have done anything different?
well, that stadium is a big deal for our city. Having that stadium there is also going to bring in more businesses. Businesses create jobs. Jobs put money in people's pockets, which helps our local economy. So,
So you're on board.
yes, I'm on board.
Okay. Typically, when you speak to a conservative, they are a little more fiscally responsible, quote unquote. And when you get to these big ticket items, they don't have a lot of support for them. So to hear you say that you are in support of it, I think is refreshing,
Yes,
to say
sir.
the least. So I appreciate that. Is there anything that you would like to have seen different in the stadium deal?
It would have been nice if more funds could have come from another source.
Okay, fair.
But we're here now.
We're here. Speaking of small business, speaking of the stadium, we're going to fill half the stadium this year, and then we're not going to have the stadium at all next year. So how do we rally around that to make sure that the businesses downtown are still in a position to succeed and thrive?
Well, if the city were to put on smaller events in the downtown area, um, but without the games being there,
Yeah.
yeah,
And
it will affect some things.
Florida Georgia is not going to be here for 2 years too. So I
Yeah.
mean, we're talking about significant revenue being lost. So I am interested to see like where can that revenue be made up over the 2 years to ensure. And I'll give you an example. So Bellwether closed. That was a really popular establishment. Bread and Board closed, and Tuition closed, and that's with the stadium being here. So if the stadium's gone and people don't have a reason to come downtown, it's going to be very difficult for these downtown businesses to stay afloat. So I'm interested to know how we can still attract people to come downtown and spend their money.
I think one of the biggest issues with people coming downtown to any business is feeling safe. We have an issue with the homeless population. Um, and what I do know is that when you have businesses in an area, you have homeless population. Some of these people are very aggressive. You have employees that don't feel safe coming in and, coming into work, leaving to go home from work. And then you have customers that don't feel safe because, some of those people are very aggressive and they're approaching them asking for money and different things like that. I believe that those things affect businesses staying open. So that homelessness issue is something that we have to continue to work on.
So here's the interesting thing about the homeless issue. The state of Florida bans public camping. And the city of Jacksonville had a $10 million initiative to address the homelessness issue and kind of take care of the public camping problem. Last year's budget, 9 million of that 10 was slashed out. So only 10% of the budget that was allocated to address the homeless issue did. Chances are you're going to have a similar issue this year. Minimal support, but you have to achieve maximum effect. If you had a magic wand, how would you solve the homelessness issue?
Well, first we need to identify who's actually homeless. Some of those people have a place to go. They have family, they have friends, they have a place, but they choose to be on the street. Some of those individuals have mental health issues. Some have substance abuse issues. We have to find a way to provide the services that they need for them to become stable. I think that is the core of what the issue is. If you have someone with a mental health issue, and let's just say they do something and they go to jail, and then they get out the next day, they haven't received the treatment that they need to become stable, even with the substance abuse as well. We need to be able to provide the services. And I do know that the city has a program, the PATH program. But the issue with that is the homeless shelters don't have enough beds.
Yep.
So, it's like one issue and then another issue and another issue. So many layers. But I think that if we peel away one layer at a time and be intentional about addressing that issue over time, things will get better. In fact, I think things have gotten better over the years.
Okay.
But it's going to have to be a continual thing.
I'm going to dive into the race really quick. One of your opponents has been extremely vocal in that you don't live in the district that supports the at-large Group 1 seat. So before I give you a chance to respond to it, I would just like to ask openly so that everybody can understand, do you live in the district to run for the seat that is at-large Group 1 in City Council?
Absolutely do.
Okay. How long have you lived there?
Over a year.
Over a year, which addresses the minimum threshold.
Yes.
Okay. Why is she being so vocal and aggressive about saying that you don't?
That is a question that only she can answer.
Okay.
But for the record, I will say this. I have just spent 35 years, the last 35 years, which is almost my entire adult life, enforcing rules and following rules. Why would I get out here in this political arena where I know I'm open to public scrutiny to not follow the rules? My character, my reputation, my track record, everything about me, the essence of who I am, says that I am a trustworthy person. There's no way I would, number one, violate my own self. We spoke about having the sheriff's endorsement. Do you really think that I would put the sheriff's name on the line? And to put the icing on the cake, I told you all and I shared with you, God is the person or the individual that led me here. Why would I do any of this and not be truthful?
What's the status of there was at least one lawsuit, and I believe you told me there were two. What's the status of either one?
They were both dismissed.
Okay. And so everything's free and clear moving forward. If this election comes to be, you get over 50% of the vote, there's no issue whatsoever
Absolutely
to you
not.
take on this seat.
None.
Okay. Well, I'm glad we got that taken care
Yes,
of.
sir.
On paper, you are the front runner. Every record I've looked at, every publication that's discussed your name has placed you in the front runner seat. The incumbent or the person you'll be replacing is and was a Republican. You have the fundraising lead and you have the endorsement of the bulk of council plus the sheriff. Since there's three people and you have to achieve 50% of the vote for this not to go into a runoff, who do you need to rally to get out to the voting booth on August 18th in order to put this thing to bed right now?
Every individual that knows Deborah Wesley, if they show up and vote for Deborah Wesley, it's a done deal. It is a done deal. But I have I've put in the work. I'm still putting in the work.
Mm.
I'm not relying on endorsements to get me elected. I'm not relying on contributions to get me elected. I am meeting people. I am making friends. I am sharing who I am, and I am listening. And those are the things and those are the qualities that have gotten me the support that I've gotten thus far.
For the people that you haven't met, so for the Democrats and independents that are going to go vote and they haven't had a chance to meet you, but maybe they watched this episode or maybe they've seen a post about you,
Yeah.
what would you like them to know about you that would convince them to want to see you be the candidate?
I would like for them to know that my 35 years of leadership experience, my decades of serving outside of work, my decades of serving families in this community, the reason why I'm doing this, as I've shared, um, and the fact that I'm not here for political reasons. I'm not here because someone asked me, someone pushed me, someone encouraged me. I'm not here because I'm beholden to anyone or that I owe anybody anything. My heart and my candidacy is about serving people and listening and putting people before politics. That is why I'm doing this. And I think that is the most important thing. We have to get back to serving the citizens of this city.
Speaking of serving the citizens of the city, the public perception is that we have a couple people on council that are self-serving, and there are some very loud personalities in there. How do you tame the room whenever there's an issue that might have a little bit more vulnerability than most?
I think, again, everything is about relationships. I have this unique gift that God has given me to cause people to listen when I speak. I am highly respected, and people respect and value my thoughts and my opinions because I do things with common sense. And I realize that sometimes people don't know what they don't know. But when you can come to the table and say, have you considered this or that? People tone it down.
Okay.
So,
Regardless of who wins, it will be a female.
yes.
How do you feel about that? Is that empowering?
As a woman, yes.
Yep. There's only
Yes.
2 on council. One's gonna be termed out. Now whether or not a female, beats out any of the incumbents, like, that's to see, but at least in the at-large Group 1 seat, regardless of what happens, it will be a female.
Yeah.
Has that resonated with you at all? Is that something you've even paid attention
I mean,
to?
I have absolutely,
Okay.
absolutely. I have thought about it.
Okay.
Absolutely. Yes.
Here's an interesting thing. If you win, regardless if you win on August 18th or you win on November 3rd, you have to turn right back around and campaign again for March. So how do you balance getting situated in your role in city council while also concurrently having to campaign for your seat all over again in 6 months' time?
Well, I did it when I was working. Before I retired, I was working. And then outside of work, I was very intentional. Outside of work, I was meeting people, going to where they were,
Yeah.
and doing what was necessary. So you have to be committed to this
Yeah. On the
and
off
putting in the time.
on the off chance you don't win, are you going to run again in March?
Absolutely.
Okay. So
Because when I filed to run in March. So why would I quit
so
now?
so if one of these others win, they can't even they got to look in the rear view.
Because I'm
You're
coming.
coming. Okay. All right. You want to do a little rapid fire real quick? One word for the city of Jacksonville right now.
One word.
Mhm.
Let me make sure I'm understanding that question
Okay.
in reference to
In general, if you look at Jacksonville right now, how would you describe it in one word?
describing the city.
Yep.
Oh, wow. Jacksonville is amazing.
Amazing. Okay.
I love this place.
Where's the best meal in the city?
The best meal. Oh my God, there's so many places. For breakfast, I love Kiki's
Okay.
Breakfast Cafe.
I love Kiki's too. I'm a waffle guy. What's a Jacksonville neighborhood people should be paying more attention to
A Jacksonville neighborhood.
or side of town?
The north side, northwest side.
Okay. Any reason why?
We have communities in the northwest side that I believe have been underserved for far too long. We have food deserts. There are some safety issues, blight issues. And I think we need to hold some of the city departments accountable for certain things, but we also need to bring the citizens to the table and let's address what's needed in those communities.
Okay.
And it has to be an effort of working together.
Okay. A book or person that shaped how you think about service and duty.
I'm sorry, one more time.
A book or person that shaped the way you think about service or duty.
Bible.
Okay. Is there anything in the last 5 years you've changed your mind about?
In the last 5 years? Yeah. I tell you, this is very personal.
Okay.
This is very personal. But I was diagnosed with breast cancer. I am a survivor. And having lived through that experience really brought me closer to the Lord. And so while I had already received Christ as my personal Savior, it just helped me be more intentional in the decisions that I make and realize that there's a purpose for my life. And so with everything that I do, every venture that I step out into, I seek the Lord first. And it's because of that experience.
Well, thank you for sharing that.
Yes.
You didn't have to, but thank you.
But it was that experience that changed a lot of views.
Okay.
Yes.
When it comes to the Jags, are they going to win the Super Bowl?
This year?
Yep.
Go Jags! We hope.
So you're hopeful, but the answer is no.
We hope. I would love to see them win. I would love to see them win. They were looking good last year.
Yeah.
Last season.
Until they weren't.
Yeah.
I know. Okay. Is there a local leader you admire who does not share your politics?
A local leader.
That's not a Republican that you admire?
Yes. My pastor.
Oh, not a Republican.
He's not a Republican.
Okay. And you look up to him.
I absolutely do.
Do you want to give a shout out to the church?
New Life Evangelistic Center, located at 8040 Lone Star Road, Jacksonville, Florida, where my pastor is the Bishop Antonio C. Richardson, and my first lady is the lovely, beautiful Dr. Cynthia McGahee Richardson.
Okay. If you have it your way, what does Jacksonville look like in 10 years?
Wow. 10 years. We'd have a beautiful stadium. The Jags will be winning the Super Bowl. There would be thriving businesses downtown. We'd have jobs that actually paid money to where working professionals could actually afford to live comfortably. And our children would have top-notch schools, every school in Duval County being an A school.
Okay.
And our seniors would feel safe.
Okay. I love that answer. Last question. The best podcast in Jacksonville?
None other than PB Jax with Randall Thomas.
See, I knew I liked you. I knew I liked you. You're out of the pressure cooker. I don't have any questions for you. I do want to give you an opportunity to tell the people why they should vote for you. So if you would like, just please look into that camera right there. And in as many words as you'd like, please tell the people of Jacksonville why they should vote for Deborah Wesley.
Yes. First of all, you should vote for Deborah Wesley because I am not doing this for power. I'm not doing this for political gain. I'm not doing this for money. I am doing this simply because, first, God called me to do it, and I have a heart of service. Second, I have 35 years of leadership experience with a proven record of being effective and getting things done. I create positive relationships everywhere I go, even when there are differences of opinion. I have a track record of being able to work well with others, regardless to political affiliation, regardless to race, sex, age, or any of those things. Secondly, I have served this community outside of work. I have served this community in so many ways that I can't begin to name. I have given of myself. I have put the time in, and I am here to serve the citizens of Duval County with my years of experience, my years of service. I am ready to step into this role and serve every citizen in this city, regardless to what your zip code is, regardless to where your house is located, regardless to what your political affiliation is. I am here to serve on day one. Deborah Wesley for City Council at Large Group 1.
I end the show with gratitude every time. And there's a couple of thank yous I want to give. Number one, thank you for giving 35 years. Thank you for doing it. And I also want to thank you for running on great causes. And I love the idea that you're here to make the city better. I thank you for that.
Yeah.
PB and Jax wishes you the best of luck. I wish you the best of luck, but thank you for everything you've done. And thank you for everything you're going to do.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Thanks for being on.
Thank you.
Very welcome.